On a related topic, a new documentary explores the symbolic battle for public space and hostage advocacy after Hamas kidnapped over 200 Israelis during the October 7th, 2023 terror attack.
In Israel, these posters might pressure the government to make deals they wouldn't otherwise consider. But here in the U.S., these posters aren't really about bringing the hostages back.
These posters threw a stone, and the ripples woke us up.
That was part of the trailer for Torn, the Israel-Palestine poster war on New York City streets. And joining us now, the director of that documentary, Nim Shapira, and Israeli-American advocate Alana Zajcek, who is one of the film's subjects and a family member of multiple kidnapped hostages. Our thanks to you both for being here. This obviously, Alana, especially for you, is such a personal story. So tell us why this part of it, this idea of public space and free speech, protests, but also prayer, why that's so important.
Well, it's so important to speak up. We have to speak up for the hostages, for people in Gaza. It's important for us to have a voice. And I think there are people who are going to express themselves in all different ways, and the posters were a good example of one way that we wanted to express ourselves. And for me, it was important to see that here in New York, where I live. So
Nim, tell us about your decision to get involved with this, why you felt like this is a story. Obviously, it's a fraught subject. Passions are inflamed on both sides. Why you think it's so important to have that story now? What do you hope audiences take from it?
So thank you for having me. I've been a New Yorker for 13 years, and once October 7 happened, 2023, not only the posters were torn, but also the social fabric of the city. These posters were symbols of grief, of identity. And once these were taken down, you got questions about why is empathy a limited resource? Can multiple things be true at the same time? And of course, can we have a difficult conversations with people that we disagree with, but at least we need to hear each other out. We're here thousands of miles away from the war. This is a film about America. We don't have rockets and missiles on our heads. The least we can do is sit down and talk.
Alana, as I look at what you're talking about the documentary, the fact is that when October 7th happened, we were outraged. I called Jewish leaders, we stood together. And then we've also, many of us, been outraged about what's happening to kids in Gaza. But the hostages have been treated almost by both sides as props rather than human beings, and so have the children in Gaza. Is part of what you are trying to say in the documentary is that these are human beings. Let's not let them get lost in whether or not we agree with one side or the other, because they are hostages. As far as we know, none of them led any of the fights that we're concerned about, and the same thing I feel for some of the children in Gaza.
Absolutely. I think this is a film about humanity, and that's why I wanted to be a part of it and really show people who are on the other side that these are human beings. I mean, the people in my family kidnapped include women and really young children, aged 3 and 5 years old. So, of course, they're just human beings that were brutally removed from their home and taken hostage to Gaza. It is inhumane, and we all need to see the humanity in one another, and I think that's what this film is meant to show, and that's why I'm really, glad to be a part of it.
Nim, I guess what I never understood, and I know a lot of people never understood, is how in the world anybody could go up to a poster of a baby that had been kidnapped. Or a grandmother who had been or anybody who'd been kidnapped and was living in a savage life underground, and somebody would actually be so callous as to tear that poster down, to rip it down. And you said something that I think is beautiful. Compassion is not a finite resource. We understand. Our hearts bleed for the Palestinian children, for the Palestinian mothers, for the Palestinian people every day who are suffering. So wouldn't the answer be to put up posters celebrating their lives and mourning their deaths instead of tearing down posters of babies and grandmothers and people that are taken from their families and thrown underground?
You know, that's the question that the documentary is trying to answer. It asks more questions than give answers. But even though there's a spectrum of reasons why the posters are taken down, at the end of the day, the bottom line is you're taking someone's freedom of speech. And when you're restricting speech, you're basically risking dialogue. Removing a poster is, of course, ugly, but it's also, you know, New York is the biggest home for Jews outside of Israel. It also has a huge Muslim community. There's so many people in the middle, but we did see that everyone from every ethnic background, every age group, men and women, were tearing down those posters. And for me, that's what the documentary is trying to answer. And I've had multiple screenings, up to 100 screenings of this film, not just for Jews, but also interfaith communities from Mormons and Muslims and Jews and Americans. And I had students from all over the world, Venezuela to China. I've also screened it in to kids who were in encampments. And sometimes when people tell me, I agreed with this in the film, but I disagreed with that, I'm saying I did my job. Like, you don't have to agree with everything the film asks, but there's room for conversation. You should have more conversations, not boycotts.
Well said. The new movie, Torn, the Israel-Palestine poster war on New York City streets. It's out today nationwide, and it's also available at tornfilm.com. You can check it out online. Nim Shapira and Alana Zaitchik, thank you both very much for being with us this morning.